I had adjusted it when it was in the thing, but I can see that it's too high now. I wish it would like stay the same. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, now it's gonna be jiggly. Hold on. Okay, I think that's better. So you can see the table. I've got a bunch of stuff set out here for you guys. Hello, my name is Kimberly Trace. Sorry, I'm old. I need readers now. Every time I teach one of these, I'm like, I'm gonna blow dry my hair, I'm gonna put mascara on and makeup, and I never do. And people always ask, like, how do you get the inspiration for your hot mess Barbies? And I'm like, in here. But my name is Kimberly Tracy. My cookie name is Mulberry Treats. I don't know. Oh, it's not. It's on the back, I think, of this one. And I've been a cookie decorator for 9 years, mostly as a hobby. I actually never sell cookies, so all the cookies you see on my feed, I'm gonna have to put these on. Hi, Megan. I'm gonna have to put these on to see the questions. Like I said, I've been decorating for 9 years, mostly as a hobby. So everything you've seen on my Instagram feed is pretty much all for charity or good causes. I don't sell cookies because I would be terrible, horrible at it. But I do love teaching classes, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys about all the lessons that I've learned and mistakes I've made, especially this past holiday season, for decorating cookies. You might also know me as the person who makes the hot mess Barbie memes. Your cookies are ready. So I started doing that, I think, in like 2016. So I've done a calendar with a bunch of Bar 2 calendars. I didn't do it last year because my dad passed away and I just did not have it in me. But hopefully it'll be back in 2024, right? And then also different new merch and stuff. Okay. So how I got started teaching classes, there used to be a charity bake sale called the Gobo Bake Sale, and it was Jill FCS Cookies out of Sister Bay, Wisconsin coordinated it, and people from all over the world sent in cookies for this bake sale. It was a pediatric fundraiser for a boy in her community named Bo Johnson who had passed away. And I first started decorating cookies in 2014, and I kind of heard about it, but I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. So we moved out from California to Maryland in 2015, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make these Gobo cookies. Thank you, Heather. Hey, marketing, right? So I was like, hey, I'm gonna do it this year. I don't feel like I'm good enough. I have imposter syndrome. There was like huge, like big name cookiers, and they would go all out for this bake sale. And they had a thing that you would make one cookie for, it was called a pay it forward. So you would make the cookies they would sell, and then you would make a pay it forward cookie that they would give to the people who bought a cookie. Just like, hey, here's a free cookie, enjoy, pay it forward. So I had my kids to decorate cookies for them, like 2 little cookies, and I was like, man, I would really love to like do this with their classes, like their classrooms. They were in kindergarten and 2nd grade at the time. Then I was like, of course, cooler heads prevailed, and I was like, that's insanity. So the next year, I'd been thinking about it like all, for months, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask the principal who loves my cookies, because I donate a ton of cookies to the teachers and the PTO fundraisers and all that stuff. So I said, hey, I'm gonna do it. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, this is what it is. These are the benefits, like the educational benefits for the classroom. I kind of laid it out like teacher style, kind of like laying out my case. And he was like, I love it, do it, sounds great. So I brought in just white iced cookies and then explained to the kids like, hey, you don't get to eat these cookies, but we're decorating them for a pediatric fundraiser. We're going to send these to Sister Bay, Wisconsin. They're going to sell them, and we're going to make money for kids with cancer. So these were so 2nd graders, so 30 2nd graders and 30 4th graders. My kids are in high school now. One's in middle school, one's in high school. So I was like, what? As soon as he agreed, I was like, what did I get myself into? Which I'm sure most of us feel like when we finally take that leap into decorating classes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a total nightmare. It wasn't. The kids had so much fun. There were a couple of parents in there helping me and the teacher, and we all literally had to turn around and kind of dry our eyes with these sweet things that these kids were putting on these cookies. Hi, Andrea. And that just really motivated me to keep doing it. I loved the kids creating art on these cookies, and I loved the messages that they're in, the lessons they were learning. I talked about Miss Jill's superpower, like she wasn't a doctor, she wasn't a nurse, she couldn't save him that way, but her superpower, I'm like, what do you think your superpower? And they're like, cookies. So that really kind of piqued my interest in teaching, because I left there feeling like $1 million. I was like, if we could bottle this, we could totally save the world. So fast forward a few years, so I did that with them up until the pandemic. I started in like 2016, I think. And in 2019, CookieCon said, hey, we're looking for these electives instructors. And I was like, I really want to do that. But then I was like, no, I'm not good enough. Like, look at all these people who are on that. So I finally was like, I'm doing it. Like, so my cookie friends encouraged me. They were like, just do it. And so I did. I applied and I sent in to Cookie Idea. It was the first year they had done electives. And I was selected. And I was like, again, that kind of like, oh, sprinkles moment where you're like, what am I going to do? Like, I know I'm obligated, but I don't know what I'm doing, imposter syndrome. Like, so, I was like, well, I should probably like teach a class before I head to CookieCon in February of 2020. So I got together with a local vendor who supports like local small businesses. They do like craft classes in there. And I know I have kids, so I'm a creative cursor. So this venue was like, hey, we'd love for you to come and teach a class. So I did, and I mean, it was, you guys, I had a kid was fighting a kidney stone at the time. I literally, the night before the class, I was rolling around, writhing in pain in my living room, and my kids and my husband are like, do we need to go to the ER? I'm like, I'm fine, it'll be okay. So I get to the make it to class. I'm literally terrified that I'm gonna drop down in pain in front of all these people, because you never, with kidney stones, it shifts and then you're just in excruciating pain. So I'm like, oh gosh, what, this is just gonna be a nightmare. So I got through it. Of course, I picked way too many icing colors. I think I had 5 colors. The designs were too complicated. It was not a mess, but it was, it was my first time. So after class, this lady came up to me and she said, is this your first time teaching? And she was very nice about it. And I'm thinking oh my gosh, she's gonna want a refund, imposter syndrome kind of kicked in. And I was like, oh, she's just gonna just rip me apart nicely though. And I said, yeah, could you tell? And she's like, but please keep doing it. You are so talented at this. Just please don't give up, and please keep doing it. I really enjoyed myself. And I about burst into tears, right? Because I had been, I was sick as a dog with my kids home. So tired. Totally, the prep time took way too long to, you know how it is, right? I was just overwhelmed. And, that really meant a lot to me, that she kind of recognized that I was new at this, and then, came forward to say, hey, and encourage me. That really, bolstered my confidence for CookieCon. So literally 3 weeks later, I'm in CookieCon teaching an electives class, and the icing had been mixed wrong or something, but it wasn't setting. And this technique that I was doing required us to dry the icing and crumble it up and use it as moon dust, because I did this moon footprint thing from the moon landing. But the icing would not dry. It was super gooey, and it wouldn't crust over. So now I'm teaching, I think I taught 90 students. So, oh no, Christine. Oh, let's see. I don't know if I can turn the volume up. You want me to just talk louder? I don't know, does that work? I can just talk louder. How about that? I've got boys, I'm used to it. So is that working? Okay, you're here with the sound. Megan, you can hear. Okay, thank you guys for letting me know the feedback. I appreciate it, because I would be such a waste, right? Every other word. I don't know if it's your signal. You can hear it, Anna? Volume's up. Okay, I'll just try to talk louder. Let's see. Okay, so I'm at CookieCon, and and there were some people who signed up for my elective. Was Downtown DOTO, Megan, the Graceful Baker, the Sarmy Sisters, Sugar Butter Love. So intimidating crowd of people that I admire, cookie decorators that I admired. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and we're having all these issues with the icing. Like, my whole technique is with dried icing, and there's no dried icing to be had. So, you know, it was a great learning experience. Everyone, of course, it's CookieCon, so everyone was super nice and understanding, and we just rolled with it. But it was a great experience, and that really taught me that it's okay if you make mistakes in front of the class. It's okay if you know, don't have everything perfect. Like, people still got something out of the class. They still enjoyed themselves. They still learned something. And that experience really, again, helped bolster my confidence to go out and teach classes, because, you know, it could have, like, crushed me. I could have just been like, well, you know, we don't have the dried icing, so what are we going to do? But like I said, everyone was super supportive. And I just want to tell that story, not to name drop all these people who were in my elective, but to just let you know, if I can teach them literally the second class I had ever taught in cookie decorating class I taught in my life, then we can teach anybody. Like, we truly can. It's just a matter of, you know, you don't have to be perfect. It's about sharing what we know. And the reason we know things is because we have made a billion mistakes along the way. And if you're a cookie decorator who's never made a billion mistakes, then are you even a cookie decorator, right? Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is before you start venturing into classes, there are 3 things that I think are super duper duper important. And you know how we in the marketing group, I see this come up a lot, and I have to not say anything because it's the rules, but since this is a class, I'm going to address it because I think it's really important. It could save your business, it could save you thousands of dollars, and it could save your personal assets. So, also, then we'll get into the fun stuff with the colors and the swag bags and all that stuff. But I just want to talk about these 3 main points that I think are super, super important and are often overlooked and can cost you your business. We don't want that for anybody. Okay, Shannon, I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, so most of you guys, when you start cookie decorating, you know that you have to have flip, you have to have a food liability insurance. So when you start expanding your business, you also have to expand your insurance. So as you expand your business, your liability risk increases, and that means your insurance coverage has to broaden to encompass all of these interesting and fascinating, wonderful, amazing things that you're doing. So if you have food liability insurance only, you need to, before you start a class and go out, you need to call your insurance company and say, hey, I want to start doing classes. How can I get coverage for that? My insurance said, you're too complicated. Tina, I don't know. Some people are having problems. I would maybe log out and then come back in. Some people are having problems. Some people are saying it's okay. So I don't know what the connection is. Back to insurance. What was I saying? I got off track. So as your business expands, your insurance has to expand as well. So call them and say, I want to teach classes. Oh, I know what I was saying. So my insurance company said, hey, yes, you can add a teaching rider to flip, but you need to call and do it. So call your insurance company, tell them what you need to do, and they can do it. My insurance company, I'm insured through the Hartford because I also have merchandise with my Hot Mess Barbie stuff. So my policy was already complicated. And you know, my homeowner's insurance, sometimes you can, you know, get your stuff through your homeowner's insurance. My homeowner's insurance said, you know, your business is too complicated. We don't have like a great structure. We're going to have to send you to Hartford. So Hartford said, yes, we can cover you. We can create a policy for you where you're a home baker, you teach classes in other people's homes, you teach classes in venues, you sell merchandise where they insure my property. So like my business property is also insured. That's very important. Some people overlook that with flip. Make sure your Eddie and your Bosch and all these things are insured under your business insurance, because most homeowners insurance mine only covers like $3,000 of business property in my home. So it's not all going to be covered under your homeowners. Hey, T. Rizzy, Tristan. Okay, so a lot of people say, you know, I have an LLC, and the reason to have insurance is because as you go and teach classes, you're expanding your risk, like you're increasing your risk. And A lot of people think having an LLC, oh, I'm protected, they can't come after my, personal assets. But not having proper insurance is one of those things that they call piercing the corporate veil, which means if you don't have proper insurance and someone takes your class and cuts a finger off with the scissors you gave them, and you don't have enough insurance, or even insurance to cover it, the courts can say, hey, yeah, you've got an LLC, but you didn't have insurance, so they can come after your home and all these other things that we do not want to lose to litigation. So please do not put your personal and your business assets at risk. It's very easy to do. It's economical. It's not that hard. You just call them up and they can add a rider. It doesn't add much to your monthly premium, but it can save you thousands. The next thing I want to talk about is alcohol. Most of us love it. So, I get that it's fun to have it in class. It relaxes people. It, makes an enjoyable time, but it can cost you thousands. So please, the first thing you need to do, and a lot of people I know have cookie decorating classes at like bars and breweries and things like that, which are very popular venues to have them at. There are two things. There are two totally separate things that you need to address if you're going to be teaching a cookie class and serving alcohol. The first one is you must be covered under your insurance. So the two things are liquor license and insurance. So the first call would be to your insurance company and say, hey, I know I'm covered for classes, but I just want to let you know I'm teaching classes at a brewery. Do I need an additional alcohol rider policy? Because when alcohol enters the situation, your liability risk increases. Again, you have to expand with all these different things that you're doing with your business. So first call should be to your insurance company. Hey, what do I need to do? Because even though, yes, the venue, the brewery has insurance and, they obviously have a ton of liquor liability coverage. So if you're having a class there, you're saying, hey, you get a free, glass of wine with your class, then many insurance companies have said that you assume some liability. What that is, only the court could tell us, and we don't want to find out what that is, right? So we just want to be covered so we can go into these classes and feel confident that if something happens, that our insurance is going to protect us and our business and our personal assets. So you do need this even if you are having classes at a bar or venue that has, obviously, liquor insurance. The second thing that you need to please check are your state liquor laws and actually your county liquor laws. They vary county to county and sometimes within like city limits versus the county. So in order to, as a business, you must be covered under a liquor license to serve liquor as part of your business function. So if you were serving, and again, like I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a liquor license lawyer, but what my liquor board has explained to me, if you do not include a drink with your class, would it be the same? Like if they are not buying as part of my ticket? Well, that's a question for your insurance company, because that could be a gray area, and it's better to just pay an extra $10 and have your insurance say, like, bless you that yes, you can have it, than try to mea culpa after the fact and be underinsured. So that's definitely a question for your insurance agent. I don't know what the additional liability. I know they have said if it's part of your ticket, then yes, you do assume some liability, but that's definitely a question for your agent. So, so you do have to be covered under a liquor license as part of your business. Here in Maryland, and again, it varies county to county. For me to serve alcohol at my classes, like even a glass of wine or something like that, I have two ways to do it. One, I can host at a venue that has a liquor license. So my liquor board did tell me, yes, if you're teaching classes at a bar or a brewery and they have a liquor license, you will be covered under that liquor license because they're the ones serving. Or if I went to, say, like a venue that didn't have a liquor license, like a photography studio, I'll talk about different venues later, but like a photography studio or like a little wedding venue, The only way I could legally serve alcohol is if I hire a catering company with I don't know if you guys have them in your area, but we kind of have like bartending caterers that's all they do is come and bartend at your events. So that would be the only way I could legally do it in my state. A lot of places have one-day event licenses. That does not work here, at least in my county. You have to be a community. You have to be an organization, like a community organization, like a church or a social group. A business cannot apply for a one-day license. So that works in some places, I believe, but it does not work here. So if you're gonna teach a class with alcohol in it, just call your alcohol board like I did. They were very helpful. I even gave hypotheticals, and he was very helpful. So again, it does vary county to county. In our county, violations are referred to the police. Because I asked him, I was like, well, what happens? And he said, well, those are referred to the police. Nobody wants that. So what would happen is, so he said you would be cited, you would have a court date assigned to you, you would have attorney's fees, right? And I'm just like, well, I won't be, violating those. There's also fines and penalties, steep fines. In our county, just my reading of what our county criminal code is, your students could also be fined as well because it's illegal to consume alcohol on a premises, a public premises, so like a restaurant or something that is public access without a liquor license. So I don't know about you guys, but I would die if I was teaching class. And they came in and like my students started getting fined too. Like I would just be like Joe Exotic, like I will never financially recover this. Now, if all of that doesn't scare you, here's hopefully one final thing that will scare you to be very judicious in deciding whether or not to serve alcohol at your classes is spilling. We had a couple of open cups at my holiday class, and someone spilled them all over the next person's cookies. So I had to give them my samples, my like cookies that I work on. But I thought, oh gosh, like here's a new rule. Like I'm not going to have any like open drinks. That's why I give water bottles to everybody. So that's something to think about too, just in terms of you trying to like move the class along. And I don't know if some of you, I imagine like some places will serve like a big wine glass, and those are easy to topple over. Okay, the final third, like, not fun stuff, but I'll get through it so we can talk about the fun stuff, is children. So a lot of people love teaching kids classes. I'm working up to that. I've gotten a lot of requests for it. I haven't done it yet. I just accepted, my kids' school. But I know people say kids' classes, like they're a good moneymaker, and I beg of you to view kids' classes not as like dollar signs, but as people's precious little babies, because that's what they are. So if you're going to teach a drop-off class, so I mean, if people are there if children are there with their parents, that's their parents' responsibility. But if you're going to do a drop-off, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to check with your or your county Department of Health, Family Services, and see if you fall under any of their child care regulations and licensing requirements. Those can include CPR certification, background check, a child to adult ratio that you have to meet, and whatever else required, space and fire exits and all that stuff. So make sure, I know parents love them because they're convenient, but please make sure you're protected. I can assure you that if I dropped my kid off at something, presuming that everything was great and all the certifications were met, and something happened to my kid, I would spend my life like coming after you, and I think most parents probably would too. So whatever requirements are required, and maybe you don't, since you're teaching a class, you're not like a facility. I don't know the answers to these questions, but your Department of Health will, and make sure you check with them, because you do not want for a child to be harmed. There's going to be food there. It's a choking liability. Again, as your business expands, your risk expands, and so does your insurance coverage. So, any parent will tell you, kids are a liability, like they are a liability risk. There's choking, and then also just the security of the venue. Like if you're in a restaurant or a venue that has easy access to, like, knock on wood, you would not want to lose a kid or have something terrible happen. So please make sure that you are in line with the health department and also with your insurance company by getting any additional coverage because you're going to be caring for children one-on-one. I personally would not do it. Like I would not do it. Like my son, when he was a toddler, choked on French toast, and luckily my husband spent his youth as a lifeguard, so he immediately went into action. The next day I signed up for a CPR class. So it does happen. You're going to be with kids and food. You don't want. Move the mic closer to you. Okay, sorry, I'm using my iPad. I'll just try to talk louder. Is that good? And just keep reminding me, because I do notice that I'm like starting to talk more quieter as I go on. Anyway, just think twice about having children-only classes, and if you do decide to, with mom and me, the parents there, so I don't know about you guys, but when I'm with my kids, I'm 1,000% responsible for them. I'm talking about when kids are, and you might want to call your insurance company and say, hey, I am planning on teaching kids. They may not have any, but if the parents are only going to be there, they may, I feel like the sync is off every single time I do these lives. I don't know if it's just, like, I don't know what it is. Every time I do these, when I go back and watch the replay, my lips are off a little bit. Check with your insurance company to say, hey, I'm going to teach kids classes. The parents are going to be there. They may say, hey, there's no additional liabilities because the parents are there and responsible for them. But it's better to check and be overinsured than, underinsured. We definitely don't want to be in a situation of our business being underinsured, because that puts not only our business, but our personal assets at risk. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about, so now that we got my military police hat off, we can talk about the fun stuff. Or is it fun? Who knows? Venues. So for me, venues are the hardest part. Most places around here, if you're going to rent a venue on the weekdays, it's $75 an hour, and that includes like your setup and cleanup time. On the weekends, it can be $150 to $200 per hour. So that pretty much like closes me out for being able to teach classes at those venues. There are a lot of suggestions in the group. Cafes, breweries, libraries, churches, fire halls. The twins do their class at a kitchen design studio, which is fantastic, and I would love to find one here locally. But for a lot of us, that's a big struggle, is trying to find a suitable venue for these classes. There are a few websites you can go to look for events. One of them is called Event Detective. And what I like about that one, as opposed to a lot of the wedding sites, is it'll tell you like where you can have like a really small meeting. So, not this huge wedding venue that we kind of all know about, but smaller, more intimate venues that will be perfect for holding a class. And it tells you pricing information. It has links to, and I'll do a post after this to link all the things that I talk about in this. Event Detective. And the next thing I like to do, or the next thing I love about hunting for the best thing, get my words straight. The next thing, if you're hunting for venues, is to reach out to your local small business and creatives community, support them. So here locally, we have several photographers who have their own studios that they use for photographers. They're usually decorated like really cool. You can just go in with tables and chairs and do your classes there. They vary in size. A little caveat on that. Oh gosh, that's a Marcia. That's expensive. Yeah, there are some crazy venue prices around here. So just be careful with the photography studios. One of the ones I was looking at actually had boudoir photography, so just make sure you know what's going to be on the walls in some of those, because they do display their own photography in some of these places. So just that was an oh sprinkles moment when I saw that. I talked about this in a collab before about doing styled shoots, and this is where I'm in Annapolis, Maryland, about 30 miles outside of DC. In Washington, D.C. So I've done a collab on, I've done a live on collabs and styled shoots, and you guys know that I love doing them for a variety of reasons, and teaching classes is one of them. I did a styled shoot last spring, and it was a brand new venue. She was just trying to get drum up some pictures and stuff for, to promote her and market her new venue space. And she offered everyone who donated stuff a free rental. So that was awesome. So it does pay, even if you're, donating or making the stuff for free for a collab, you can get it back in other things. So that's another way to not only in situations like that, but just to be exposed to, different venues. There's so many wonderful venues around here, and doing styled shoots and collabs just helps you, learn about them. You can ask in your Facebook groups, like, hey, the mom groups, I know Heather and Corey have talked about, kind of getting around things. Hey, does anyone know it? I'm looking for a place to have a class. Does anyone know where, can you recommend a good spot? You're not promoting or you're not selling, but you're asking a question that might, hey, get people thinking about your classes. One of the good things about working with small local creatives is that they're going to cross promote for you, the venue or the photographer. And I did a Ukraine class, a fundraiser back last May, and a local creative hosted it at her house for me, and she cross promoted it so amazingly. I would not have sold a fraction of those tickets had she not been helping me promote it. We have 2 businesses locally that support local artists. The first class I had is one of them, where they just they teach classes, or they have event space where they can bring in local artists to teach things. So that's another great thing, and you're supporting a local business. They really helped cross promote as well. And I talked about this in my live on collabs and community building in your own community of local creatives. Is you got to get out there and build that community. And here I'll give you 2 examples as to why. I had a Halloween class. I had booked at a photography studio, and a week before, the venue had to cancel. I had already sold tickets, not many, but I had sold tickets, and I was left in a lurch. So I went on to we have a really active Rising Tide Society group here. So I went on and I said, does anyone have any place they can recommend? I just lost this venue. I've already sold tickets. I really don't want to have to, because I think I changed the time, because there was a new mom. They bought 3 tickets, and it was a new mom, and they didn't want to switch the ticket anyway. So I'd already made one change. I didn't want to make time and change. So this event space in Annapolis, which I have adored. It's beautiful. It's brick. It's gorgeous. If you've seen the Halloween reels that I did, it's a beautiful space. And she said, hey, we just randomly happen to have a event or no events going on this Saturday when your class is going on. You can have it. And again, it's $150, $175 an hour on the weekends. And I was like, thank you so much, but I cannot. I've only sold 4 or 5 tickets. I can't afford that. It would be a huge loss for me to even rent it. And she said, don't worry about it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't know why I need to whisper, but she said, don't worry about it. She had just lost her mom. I had just lost my dad. She said, this is a pay it forward for my mom. And she let me have it. I took as many pictures as I could, to help promote her as a thanks for, letting me use the space for free. I got great pictures that I can use in my marketing now. It was beautiful. It worked out great. And then I had the class decorate some extra cookies that we donated to the care facility where her mom was before she passed away. And so I delivered those and said this was in honor of their patient, and it was just a really wonderful experience all around. The students loved being able to, make these cookies, knowing that they were going to, not specifically the reason why, but to know that they were going to local caregivers who take care of our elderly. So that was just a wonderful all-around situation. I mentioned before that Ukraine fundraiser. Again, that was a local creative. She's a on-air personality for Home Shopping Network, Beth Kingston of the Kingston Home. She offered up her studio basement for us to have this class in. So she was able to promote it. We had a great space, and it would not have happened had I not been, part of this creative community and supporting them with door prizes and, cookies and, things like that for their special events. So I'm sure you guys have heard me say this in the group, but I love saying this: give grace, get grace, and that was truly happened with that Halloween fiasco. Some other venues, Airbnbs. I actually follow a local real estate agent on TikTok, and she showed the cutest B&B, and I reached out to her and said, hey, that would be really great to have a class there, and she put me in touch with the owner. So there's lots of things like that that you can find. Boutique hotels, we've got several of them here in downtown Annapolis. They're smaller. They don't have, you're not paying for a huge amount of space. Also a shared workspace. My cousin is a cookie decorator in Chicago, and she teaches her classes, I think it's like $50 a month, and it's like a shared kind of workspace, and they have tables and chairs are already there. You can, I think I think it's unlimited, like, amount of times you can, like, kind of, you have to sign up, but you're not limited for how many times you can use it in the month. So that would be ideal. I wish I could find something like that here. Your local arts council, a lot of times they have, they teach art classes, and you might be able to kind of get in their event space. And also your home, like, that's a great option for a lot of people. But remember, if you're in your home, your homeowner's insurance is not going to cover your business activities. So please make sure that you have your business insurance that covers you teaching in your home. Again, when you expand your business, your risk increases, and so does your insurance. So fees, as we've talked, and some people have been saying in the comments, the fees can be really hefty for a lot of these venues. I prefer to charge a percentage, and here's why. Because that, for instance, that Halloween class, I had actually paid a flat rate for that photography studio, and I barely sold any tickets. Like, I think finally I sold 5 tickets. One was to my mom, of course. So that kind of taught me a lesson that, like, hey, like, paying a flat fee could really bite me or come back to hurt me if I don't sell out this class. And that's not always a guarantee to sell out a class. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I struggle to sell out classes. Like I said, I was never a cookie decorator. I didn't sell cookies, so I had to kind of build my base from, like, just me not here and teaching. I didn't have a local following. Mine was, just on IG. Like, I'm a cookie hobbyist, and I like to post, like, pretty pictures. When it came to teaching classes, like, I didn't have any local following. So that's been a lot of hard work to build that up, but just something to think about when you're discussing fees, because sometimes the time of year, you're like, it can be anything that you wouldn't sell out of class. Oh, no problem, Wendy, welcome. And the percentage depends on what they offer. And, I'm a little more confident now negotiating that than I was when I first started. The first class I taught, like I said, was in a venue, and they handled the ticket sales, they handled the marketing. I mean, I did some, but, they handled the ticket sales. I didn't even have a website at the time. So they charged me 25%, which seems high, and it was, but also I didn't have a website, so I couldn't have, like, gotten these people to pay anyway. So at the time, it worked out really great. The venue where I had my Hanukkah and Christmas classes this year, she said, hey, it's a local place, like, where they sell local artists and stuff. They feature local artists. And she said, I'm not going to charge you my regular rate, which was like close to 50%, which, oh gosh, like, I would have not been able to do it if you just give up 50% of your class. She said, so what percentage what's normal? And I said, well, hey, when I started, it was 25% for this, but they also handled all of this. So I can handle my own tickets and marketing and all that stuff. So how about 15%, which was kind of, I like to only spend $150 or free is even better, but $150 is kind of my max for classes. Like, that's, what I can spend to make it worth it for me. And the percentage just worked out great. My Hanukkah class had 3 people in it. My Christmas class had 14 people in it. So had I paid a flat rate for each class, I would have definitely lost money. So I get a lot of requests from different venues to say, hey, we'd love to have you come and teach a class here, which is flattering and it sounds really great, but I cannot afford them. So when that happens, just be honest with people. People get excited about the classes, but
they don't really understand all that goes into them and what your costs and expenses are. So I just be honest. I just say, I like to keep classes really small to up to, 12 people. So that doesn't really allow me the budget I don't really have that in my budget to afford, not afford, but that doesn't allow me to spend, my budget doesn't allow me to spend that much money. I'm talking over myself, but if I was at a typewriter or computer, I could type it up a little more eloquently, but you know what I mean, to just say, hey, I appreciate it, but I teach really small classes. I'm not holding a conference of, 400 people where I can absorb, this fee. And they get it. They're small business owners as well. What often happens is they come back and say, what can you pay? Which is golden, right? Again, that's where you can say, hey, how about a percentage of my ticket sales? Because then again, you're not stuck paying a flat rate, especially if you're starting out and this is your, first or second class. You're not confident that you're going to sell out. That's a great desired price range, right? Yes, Amy, it's not in my desired price range to make profit from this class. And they get it. Like, they're trying to make a profit too. Another thing you can do is negotiate for off season. Say, hey, I really love your venue. It's out of my desired price range. Thank you, Amy Russell. It's out of my desired price range. But do you have times in the year where your rentals are slow that maybe I could take, I could use the space at a discount and be able to provide you with some marketing or photography of my cookie classes, and it not be a busy time where it's taking money out of your pocket during a busy season where, I obviously can't afford your rates. So, that's also an option as well. And, that's what happened with that Halloween class. Like, they just happen to have a vacancy. That's only last minute, right? You need to schedule kind of the off-season time. But that's an option as well. And just take lots of great photos. And then you can use those in your marketing. I use those for my flyers that I use for donations, like for when I donate cookie decorating classes to local charities and stuff. I've used those photos. They're beautiful photos from these wonderful venues or beautiful homes, and then that's all I have to use, and it's in there for me to just change the wording and the date and print off for the next one. So some lessons learned with venues. Tables and chairs. Oh my God. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but make sure your venue has tables and chairs. The place I had my holiday classes at, I had to provide almost all the tables and chairs, and it was a nightmare. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm too old. I'm almost 48, and to be lugging around these tables and chairs, and it added so much time to the setup because you got to make several trips, to your car and back and forth. So just be mindful of that. If you can negotiate tables and chairs, it's worth it. And then also, as you go through this, building your confidence, if someone's like, hey, teach a class, come to our place, but you're gonna have to bring your own chairs, you can say, no thanks, but no thanks, unless you've got an army of helpers who can come and help you set up. Lighting, now this is, talk about needing reading glasses. This is maybe something that you younger generations aren't thinking about now, but us older generations are suffering from it. This comes up a lot in retail places, a lot of shops and boutiques want to have classes there. But the lighting is directed at their product, not at a table or where you're going to be decorating. So we ran into that problem a couple times this season, this past holiday season, with the lighting in the venues just really not being great. So just think about that. That there's lighting on the work surfaces that people are going to be working. You may be fine for you. Bring your mom, bring your aunt, bring an older friend. But for someone over 40, it's going to be an issue if there's not adequate lighting. Location. So the place that I had my Hanukkah and amen on the reading glasses, right? My Thanksgiving class, the students were complaining. They were like, we can't see anything. So, and it's not anything that I had thought of before when securing a class. I had gone in the daytime and it was, bright in there, and at nighttime it was not. So, just be mindful of that and just add that to your checklist. So location, the place where I had my Hanukkah and Christmas classes this year was in downtown Annapolis on Church Circle. It was amazing. It was brick. It was so cool. But I had an evening class on Saturday, and when I was loading back up the car, it was
9:30, like almost 10 o'clock at night. I'm being approached by homeless people, and I was kind of like, this is really not, the best safety wise for me to be like in my car, like, putting stuff away, like not being able to like see my surroundings. So just think about your safety too, especially when you're looking at evening classes, because things do change, especially like a downtown area. Like things can change pretty quickly once the sun goes down. The bars are, people are going to bars and things like that. So just be mindful of that, because I was, after the fact, I was like, that's something to like remember for next time, because I was, literally like in my car, like shoving stuff and not able to defend myself. Noise level for patrons and shoppers. If you're, oh, hey, Lori, welcome. Noise level, if you're in a bar or, a pub or a restaurant or something like that, just be mindful of the noise level and how that could impact not only your students hearing you, like this live, but also you being distracted and being able to focus on your class. That might be very unnerving for you to have, like people poking in and looking, and, just making noise around you. Because it is, you're standing in front of people just like doing this live. You get a little nervous, or a lot nervous, depends. Parking for you and your guests, like, and make sure you figure that out with the venue, so you have information when you send your, like, hey, a few days before class starts, you can include that parking information. Some areas it's not as important. Downtown Annapolis this holiday season was hugely important, so I made sure to include that for my, figure that out for my students. Unloading and loading your materials, it adds a ton of time to your setup, and that means you're losing money. So Santa brought me a wagon this year, and I use, to carry my stuff in, these huge bags from a craft store called AC Moore that's no longer here, but I'm treating myself to some new Scout bags that are one of our local shops just got Maryland ones, so I'm going to be replacing those to like level up, as the kids say. But whatever works, but I use the bags. To me, they're just easier to carry around, but I'm really excited about the cart that Santa brought me, so I can make it easier on myself, because like those trips I was making, like running back and forth, and then you got to set up your entire classroom, so it does add a lot of time to your setup time. So again, when you're looking at venues, just keep this in mind. Every problem that you identify, you have to come up with a solution for it. So if you're like, oh, well, it's a little bit dark, Kim said to look out for that, but I can just bring some ring lights. Like, you're adding that on. So that's things you can forget. It's things that you need to remember to bring. So every problem you identify, just remember, you got to come out with a solution for it. So it does add up in time and energy, and then just like physical volume of what you're bringing to a venue. Okay, so now some lessons learned actually teaching. We got to the teaching part. We're at our venue, so now what do we do? One of the big things that comes up in the group, and I've struggled with this myself personally, is tech versus no tech. Yes, lighting is key. Hey, Michigan. Hey, Rebecca. Where was I? Oh, tech versus no tech. So I do not use any tech in my classes. I'm a Gen Xer, like just the thought of like having to deal with all those wires and things going wrong, makes me sweat harder than trying to find affordable eggs right now, right? So for me, I would see like, in the Cookie College has the class where they have the tech and the PowerPoints that are amazing, and you start to get that like, oh, maybe this is what people want. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Just go with what you feel comfortable doing. I knew, like, I started seeing like all these, like everyone talking about how wonderful the PowerPoints are and amazing, and I'm thinking like, oh, should I do that? But then I'm like, oh gosh, the thought of it just really makes me like not want to like even teach if I have to do that. But you can do no tech, you can do tech, you can change your mind, you can incorporate sometimes and not always. So just see what works better for you. For a lot of people who want the tech and feel more confident using the tech, the Cookie College is a great resource for that. There's a value added where people have the PowerPoint, they can see, you can teach a lot more people.
using a projector. So you can get larger groups in there. You know, I can't teach a 40-person class by myself with no tech. It's just, you know, it's just, and that's just not for me. So I just say, hey, I'm going to keep it small and charge a little bit more. And, you know, the tech, like I said, there is value added. Like, people do love it. Like, people do love teaching it that way, and they also love being the students because they can see everything. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not waiting on, you know, me to show them something if they're confused. With venue hopping, it can cause problems because no venue is going to be the same. So if you're in a situation like me where you don't have like a set venue where you can just go in and like you know how to plug things in, there's a TV there, like you know what to do. If you're venue hopping, the tech could be more of an issue for you because you got to figure it out every single time you go somewhere. If you do love the script and you do love the tech, you can always print it. Like, so even the venues where you're not going to have access to a TV, you can always print it and have those the slideshow available to people that way. So for me, no tech provides me more flexibility. I can teach in people's homes. I can teach literally anywhere and not have to rely on tech, not have to rely on you know, missing cords and things like that. So pick one, try both. It doesn't matter. Just the thing you need to remember is the magical ingredient is you. It's not the PowerPoint. It's not having tech. It's you. So just use whatever is going to like make you feel less anxious about teaching. Do that. That is the correct answer for you and the right thing for you to do. Set design. Okay. So if designing a set gives you as much anxiety as waiting for that Susan Reed refund check, then I highly suggest the Cookie College. They have, you get it in the Cookie College, but I think they have another separate, like just class kind of program where you just pay for the class photos and the freebies and stuff. The set design for you, you don't have to come up with anything. They tell you where the cutters are, you've got the photography, it's all laid out for you. So if that causes you stress, like thinking about designing the set, and I know we're all trying to work on Valentine's Day samples right now, and the struggle is real. You know, look to the Cookie College. They've got amazing resources for you to help you with that aspect of it. I hope that's not the school nurse. I don't think so. Usually I can tell her. I can tell her ring. For me, I design my own sets. So for me, the ideal is 3 colors. One of those colors also adding, the Cookie College is not free, it's a subscription, but you can find the links in the Sugar Cookie Marketing group on Facebook. You can also go to the sugarcookiemarketing.com. If you go to Sugar Cookie Marketing Instagram page, you can find the links there. Just send Heather a message or Corey a message. They'll be able to get you to the link. I think it's sugarcookiemarketing.com and not the Cookie College. Maybe someone else can add in, but the Cookie College is not free. It's $68 a month. It's going to be going up soon, but I believe they do have like a little subscription for just class information, which is not as expensive as the entire Cookie College. But it's a great resource, especially if you're just like daunted by having to come up with these designs yourself. So my ideal 3 colors, a 4th one of those colors in a flood, and a piping as well. So 4 bags of icing is my ideal. Again, do as I say, not as I do, because I break that rule all the time. And if only a tiny amount's needed, like the ones I did for my Christmas class, like this one, I just needed a little bit of light blue there for the window. I was like, I'm not about to like give everybody a tiny blue bag. So I just went around and squirted it where they needed it, and everyone was fine with it. So that's a way to get around things like that. I started out with 3 designs, 2 cookies each. And, you know, you can work your way up from that. The past 2 classes I did, you know, 4 cookies or 4 designs, like for my Hanukkah class, 4 designs, and then again, still 6 cookies. So they get some freedom on some of the other cookies. I do one or two that are a little more complicated, and I tell them this. I'm like, I'm going to give you two that are complicated, like don't feel daunted. We're going to do two that are a little more complicated, and then we're going to do some easy ones. So they do, what did we do? I feel like we did, I think we did one of each of the complicated cookies, and then we had more of the simpler ones. Because what that allows them to do is be free with their design and kind of play around. And at least the students who take my class seem to enjoy that, like being able to play. Like, oh, I want to add dots on this. Well, I want to do wet on wet and do like the scribey thing on this one. So, oh, thank you, Jennifer. So that's just something to think about. Some people may want, like, hey, I want to go to class. I want to be told exactly what to do. I don't want to have to think for myself. Just tell me everything I need to do. So, and there's people, and there is a lid for every pot. So for every class, you have a base for a customer base who wants that type of class. So when you make samples, take videos of your samples so you can use those for reels to market. I do great, I love to do reels. Sorry, someone's at my door. Do reels of my videos, and do like you'll see a little snippet of each cookie being like halfway decorated. And those reels, like, I think really help elevate my class and get people interested and excited about them. So when you're making your samples, which I know we all hate making samples, make sure to take a few videos to make a reel with. That's been really helpful for me in terms of marketing. And then keep the samples for class. So once I do the samples, this was my Hanukkah class, the jelly donuts one kind of came off. And then like this, so I just keep them like this so people can see in class. I do decorate with them, but mine don't always get like totally decorated, just to be honest with you. How would you design simple, medium, and hard designs for classes? I mean, that just comes with your experience too. I mean, you can kind of take it, see like, for me, like if there's any sort of detail added, like that's going to complicate it. If it's all wet on wet, this was pretty, I love to do this in my classes is give them cookies that have a humongous wow factor and look really difficult, but are super easy. So I actually made these transfers, the jelly donuts. So all they had to do was type this, do the dots and drag it through, and then we went in and added the jelly donuts as transfers. So it's a little more work for me on the backside, prepping for the class, but I really do love them to be able to walk away with like a great looking cookie. Okay, so prep. Oh gosh, prep is, so I do so I do 3 colors, and then for one of the colors I do 2 consistencies, but don't listen to me too, because as you can see for like Hanukkah class, like how many bags are there, Kim? So, and then Christmas too. Where'd my Christmas one go? How many colors are there, right? Do as I say, not as I do. And then I had extra of the white, so I piped the white for this one for them, and then the blue on the window. So don't listen to me, like I always do more than I should, despite telling myself every single time. So what I like to do for prep is checklists, and I've got 2 checklists, actually probably more, but this is my first one, and I'll provide you guys with a link for this so you can download it. But this is my, I have to make some edits to it. I need to check boxes. And I haven't done anything with this since after Christmas, because I taught 3 classes in 1 week and I was kind of done for a while. So this is what I use for my, is it backwards? Is it backwards for you guys? I hope not. No, I do not do a printout. I just teach them. I meant to bring it, but literally like my class plan, I just list out the cookies in order that we're going to decorate them. That is literally all I have when I get up in front of them and start teaching. I mean, I have made the samples myself, so I know like what has happened, how I did them, so I kind of know, and I've been decorating for 9 years. So, okay, sorry it's backwards, but it won't be when you print it out. But I'll just read it here since you guys can't. So what I do for my cookie and icing prep is that I note the icing, the different colors, and then I have a warning here for myself that says, are you sure, right? Once I go past 4 colors. And then for the cookies, I list the cutter, and then again, what does this say? Giving you side eye, right? Because I'm like, that's a lot of different cutters. And then what this one is, this is the number per set, number of sets. So this was 15, and then total. So if I just am doing 1, it's 15, but these I did 2, so it was 30. So then I check it off and I know that I have the right amount of cookies. For icing, okay, let's see. For icing, I do the color, the consistency, number of bags, and I include one for myself, and then number of ounces, because that really helps. When I first started out, I was just like guessing, and that added so much time and so much wasted material, like cost of ingredients and stuff, because I was just like, well, that looks good. And then I also have total anxiety about people running out of icing in class, so this helps me, like, I know people are going to have enough icing if I just follow this formula. So I do 6 cookies, and they get a total of about 6 ounces of icing. So everyone's got extra. I don't have to worry about people running out. And sometimes, like, I've gotten a little lower. I think last time I did 1.5 because I was consistently seeing, like, there was more, people had tons of leftover icing. And then I check off, like, once, so I count it out. I know exactly how many ounces I need, how many bags, and how many ounces total. So I just, when I'm mixing the colors, I pour all that in, mix it up. I know the exact amount, and then I portion that out in the bags. Darn, I forgot to grab them. But when I do icing, and I have a video of this on my Instagram reels at Mulberry Treats on Instagram, and what I do is I have these plastic cups, and I count out, so I have my little sheet here that tells me how many bags of icing I need, and I, again, make one for myself. So I will count out 15 cups each. Can you guys see me? That just went like it did something weird. Yes, the worksheet, I will share the worksheet with you guys. Please don't share it outside of the group, because I'll share it for you guys. So I do about 6 ounces total. So about an ounce, let me see. Make me do math. But you can search the group. Some people do half an ounce per cookie. So, but I think I do about 6 ounces total, or maybe it's 4. I don't know. I can't do the math now and think while doing this class. But I'll have it on the sheet and I can post it afterwards. No, half an ounce is actually like kind of a lot of icing. So I do half an ounce, and those are usually my piping colors. Like for the Christmas one, it was fine. Like I don't think you can see it here, but it wasn't too small for them to use, and we weren't using very much of it, and I just really didn't want to like waste it, because it added up. Like I had, as you can see, I had 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 bags for that set, so I didn't want to like make any more. Okay, so anyway, so this is my icing sheet, and what I do with the icing, I put 12 people in a class, I put out 12 cups, or however many bags I need. I put that number of cups out. I don't have to do any more math the entire time I'm prepping icing. Each each cup gets a bag in it. I put all the bags in at once, fill, seal, and then I'm good to go, and I don't have to say, oh, did I miscount? Because I know I've double checked my cups, and I know I'm golden, so I don't have to worry about that, because that is terrible to show up at class and not have enough icing bags for people. Okay, so the next checklist I do, so that was my baking one. And after I do the icing, I put them in Ziploc bags by consistency or color, usually but I put those in the freezer, and then I take those out when I'm headed to class. So those go in the freezer like a couple days before. They're totally fine. I don't have to worry about them, and they're perfect temperature by the time the students get them in their hands after, setup and all that stuff. For the cookies, I put them in a big Tupperware. I have a really big Tupperware brand, Tupperware. So for the bags, I close those using a heat sealer. Not a heat sealer, that's not right. It's a bag tire, and it's I meant to bring it. It's a little, like you just
it's like you seal like a bakery bag, like a bread bag. You just put it through this little contraption and it seals it, and it saves you so much time, and it saves your hands as well. And I'll link that, and I do my post of all the stuff I've talked about. I'll link that in there. The one I got was for like processing deer meat, but I just figured it was probably food safe, so I went with that company. It's a total game changer and a total tape sealer. Thank you, Patty. Thank you. A tape sealer, and it works out great. So here's my second checklist. This one, and I can provide you guys with this one as well. It's just a Word document, and I've got two sections. I've got prep for class and day of checklist, because really there are two things. You got to make sure you've got everything done, and then you have to make sure that everything is packed. And just because you've done something doesn't mean you actually packed it, right? You could leave your icing in the freezer. So, like I even say, like, get icing from freezer. And my kids love helping me with this checklist. Like, they come down the morning of class and they're like, Mama, like, let me get this for you. Let me get this for you. And help me load it up. So this has saved me so much anxiety. Just knowing that everything I need to do, and I add to it every class, and I also have a little section down here. After I printed it, I know I'm gonna add something later. So I add it, like this was wash scribes, because I had just had a class and I needed to do that. And I hadn't had it on my previous checklist because they were already washed and, waiting for the next class. But I do things on here like, make transfer. So I do update this for each class, but it kind of, a lot of the stuff is the same. So this has really saved my sanity, especially this holiday season. And let's see. Sending out, so the next thing, sending out for the prep. I couldn't really figure out where to put this, so I figured this was a great place. Sending out class information in Flowdesk. This was something new to me. I have a Shopify account just because I don't sell cookies, and so it was better for merchandise, but it's really terrible for like invoicing and classes. So I would send out these like super bland like emails, because that's all Shopify allows you to do. But I was like, I'm going to send out something nicer. So I actually started importing my class list into Flowdesk and sending out a beautiful, like with pictures of the class, so get people excited about the class, with parking instruction. I would link the venue, any website they had. If it was a retail place, they could do shopping and learn more about it. So that was something new that I tried this holiday season, and I really liked how it looked. It just made me feel like really professional for these people coming to my class. And I include my sample photos as well. So they got this picture again to see what we would be decorating that following day. Okay, we're running over an hour now, so I'm gonna go through it as quickly as I can. Oh, okay. So, class time. Here, I'm just gonna go over quickly like things that have worked for me and things that I like to do. I like to do name tags. I don't print them out. I just bring Sharpies and they can just write them in themselves. That's less work for me to have to do. Tablecloths. So one of the places that I went to this holiday season had really, really ugly tables. So I found these on Amazon. I will link them. They are super cheap. It was like 20 bucks. It claims to be waterproof and stain. I don't know if it is, but it looks like they were 20 bucks. It looks like a nice linen. I mean, it's not, if you look real closely, like the seams are puckered. So any seamstress would probably like turn her nose up at it, but these are great for what we need them for. They're easy to wash, and they look kind of bad with this one light, but they looked really pretty with the table set up, and they're a neutral color, so it wasn't that bad. And I got those on Amazon. I use parchment paper for a workstation. I don't use the trays actually at the table. I just let them put everything out on a big piece of parchment. The next thing I do, again, I don't do tech, so this is how I handle that. So I put a sample picture in this little stand. These are actually stands that I commissioned for calendars for this year, which I did not wind up making, but they were going to be little desk calendars. So I grabbed some of these just because I had them, but my husband made me these, which are a little bit smaller and angled a little bit. I think you can probably find these on Etsy or anywhere, but it just sits in there, and then every person has one. So everyone gets their own little like station,
and they can take a look at the finished picture, and that helps them like kind of keep on track with the class. So I really do love the photography stands for your class, especially if you're not going to do tech. So people do. So I have these, and then I have the sample cookies, and that's really all that people see. I don't take step-by-step photos. I demonstrate for them, but like that Christmas class with 14 people, I barely decorated my cookies. And plus I had to give some to the lady who got drinks spilled on hers. So next, I do water bottles, like the small ones, because they're heavy to carry, so I do the little tiny water bottles and just bring a 12-pack of those or however many I need. And sometimes snacks. If I have time, I do it. But if you bake other things, this is a perfect opportunity, or you're recipe testing, this is a perfect opportunity for you to bring that for your students. They will love giving you their input and love getting exposed to oh, you actually make these? Like, because I made blondies and people loved them, and had I also sold those, that would have been a great marketing. It would have been great marketing to have those as well. Hand sanitizer. I got these on Amazon because I wanted hand sanitizer at each, like I kind of space it out. I would not get these. This comes out like really fast. So every time people use these, I have to come over and like share with them because they get like a whole tablespoon of hand sanitizer. So, but something like this that looks cute on the table, I prefer, but just not that brand. I do demo icing consistency. I feel like that's value added. I tell them, hey, this is what most people struggle with when being successful decorating on their own. And I go through flooding and piping consistency with them, and I walk around and I get to show everybody like the trick I use for my icing consistency. I walk around and demo so everyone can see it. A lot of times I will just have a piping bag, like, and it depends on how crazy the class is. I will take like the cookie around on a piece of paper towel, and I will pipe and show them. So I'll move around the table so everyone can see. Sometimes I'm just piping like on the paper towel. Like I don't even have a cookie if I'm near where someone needs to be and they have a question. I just take the paper towel and I show them like, you know, this is how you do this, or, you know, if you're having this problem, here's a way to correct it. So you don't even need a cookie to teach someone how to decorate a cookie. So I like being able to do that on the fly with them, and you know, not be kind of stuck at place decorating, so I can go around and help them. I personally like that. I don't have paper like the piping, what are those called? Like practice sheets, or like my recipe and stuff. I did have the class one of the first classes I taught, I did have it printed on a paper, and then like people were putting their cookies on it, it was getting all greasy and gross, so I was like, I'm not doing that again. So my classes are usually 2 hours, and that's like usually like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I cannot do it any shorter. I tried. And I think it depends on your comfort level and I think some people would probably prefer like a 1 hour class, and some people would prefer a 2 hour. It's just it could vary as well. You could switch that up and make some classes simpler, or you know, not as long, and see what your customer base likes. So the other thing I do is a small business door prize. I don't do Eventbrite yet. I've put them on there, but I've never sold any tickets on Eventbrite. No, I don't do piping practice sheets. I go back and forth. Like every time I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that this time, then I never get around to it. So I have not done piping practice sheets, and no one has complained about it. So if you don't have those or you don't want to do them, no one's ever complained. I may implement them because I know that it's helpful for people, but to me it just seems like an extra mess that I have to clean up. And I usually do like different techniques, so I've got like spatulas and scribes and like paintbrushes and stuff, so I'm like, I have enough like clutter in their workstation. Small business door prize. So I buy a gift from a local person. I try to keep it around $15, and then local like creative. So it was a local candle maker. It was a local like artist who makes like graphic. She makes stickers and like earrings and stuff like that. So I try to switch that up and just support my local makers. The students seem to love it. I put like a random thing like in their bag. I always say it's going to be like a really nice piece of paper, but I'm usually like, oh, here's like a cupcake liner. I throw in there. I'm like, whoever gets a cupcake liner like wins. But that's been really fun, and I can cross promote it for other makers in the area. I don't ask for donations because I want to support them and their business. So I just go and just buy it, and then I, encourage the other students. I say, hey, you can follow them on Instagram. So it's just for me, I love doing it, and it's been very well received by the students and also the people who win. So then they can hopefully cross promote as well. Like they win and they can tag the other vendor as well. Trays. Okay, so I will link these as well. I learned about these from Wonderfully Delicious. So she uses these for her big cookie studio in Orange County in LA. I get them from Webstront store. I don't know how you say that. Webstront store. I'll link them. There are two kinds. There are the cheaper kind, which I bought, and then there's the kind that's like wax lined. Don't go cheap like me, because what happens is you can start to see the grease spots from your cookies, which I think just turns people off. It turns me off. So get the wax ones. They're like, it was literally like $5 more for the whole case. So I have a case of 100. They live down in my basement, and I use them all the time for cookie classes. One thing I will say that's different from Annapolis, from Orange County, is we get a lot more rain here. So literally like 3 classes I had this year was raining, so I just doubled up on these. I just gave people 2 and they kind of left like this. But I will be buying the lids for these. So that comes with a clear plastic lid. These are 40 cents a piece, and with the lid it makes it 80 cents. So for me, it's still cheaper than some of the BR boxes, and I don't have to fold anything. So that's value added for me to just use these. And then it's paper, so you can stick your cottage food label on the bottom. And they've got a cute little tray, and I will be getting the lids. That was a lesson learned. Swag bags. I do swag bags. I do 2 cutters from Ann Clark. She's from Maryland, so I got to support her. I do 2 Ann Clark cutters, and then I do bags, and then I will give them some heat seal bags in case they want to gift it. And also I always include a caramel from a local caramel maker, so they each get one of those caramels, which they love. Do they use them after decorating while they dry? Yes, they go home with the trays. So I don't have these out on the table. I give them to these when it's time to like wrap it up and say goodbye. So then they put their cookie in here, and sometimes if the table gets pretty crowded, we'll start putting them in, just to clear up space. But these are great. So they take them home, and then I say, hey, make sure they're uncovered. I will definitely put a link for the trays as well. I'm sorry I didn't get to that before. This was a crazy week. Crazy 2 weeks. My New Year started with a burst pipe at my dad's house. So I spent 8 days in Illinois dealing with that, with 6 days without luggage. Thank you, Southwest. And then came home to 2 sick kids the last Tuesday, and the last one just went back to school today. So it's been crazy. I charge $75 per class, and I'll get into this real quick about private parties. I do charge a little bit less for the private parties, but I'll explain why later. I have done a photo staging station before. It's tough at night. There's terrible lighting, and it really kind of depends on the venue. If you've got tables and chairs and stuff like that you can use, it's hard in like a retail space to do that. And also, if you're having to like bring tables and chairs, like I did not set one up for my Christmas class because I was literally bringing so many tables and chairs, it just cut into so much of my setup time. But I do love doing that. I do that for my private parties, and the teen girls love it. So definitely I bring a little Target plate and something behind it, and then a garland that I pull for my garland thing, and they're golden. Yes, I do love the trays. I think they're super cute, and they're very on brand with me with like craft paper. Next thing about classes, always ask for permission to take photos. I never take photos of kids' faces. I will do their hands and stuff, but I do ask people if they mind if I take their picture and then also use it on social media, and I'm totally respectful if they say no, because I do not I would lose my mind if someone posted a picture of my kids. So be extra careful with posting photos of kids online. Take photos, take great photos. It's hard to do because you're so busy, you're standing up in front of people, like you're on the spot. But if when there's a lull, I run around and like take as many pictures as I can. Share them on social media, use them in your newsletter when you promote your next class, so people can see all the fun that was had. And I like to get I don't do this every time, but I love to group people to, you know, have people smiling and having a good time. Those pictures I love, and I think they go over really well in terms of like letting people know how much fun they have. I do not get written permission for taking their photo. No, for adults, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't believe there's any expectation of privacy in a public space. So I don't think you need to, but I just ask. And so far, everyone has been, yes, I do get end card cutters at a bulk price. Okay, private party pitfalls. So everything we've talked about is a public, you know, class or that we are selling tickets for. And a lot of times people are interested in having private parties. So the way I got into private parties is by donating them to local charities. So I was tired of like spending hours and hours decorating like crab cookies and then bringing in like $30 at my local PTA. So I was like, hey, it's actually less work for me to do prep for 6 people class. It's a bigger ticket item for the charity, so it's a win-win, and I talked about this in the live, so I won't go into it since we're way over time. It's 2:20 already. I apologize. But anyway, private parties. So that's why I got into it. So these are like big galas where they do like silent auction raffles, and they've consistently brought in like $450 every time that they are up at a venue. So it's a big ticket item, and I love doing them. And it's gotten me out there. So like to say, hey, you can do private parties. So I've done one corporate one, and I just want to go over like some of the general rules because they can be a little bit trickier than regular classes. In general, one person pays. I will not deal with like 20 people paying. I don't know about you guys, but I got some flaky friends, and it would just be a nightmare to try to get everybody to pay. So you just deal with one person. Even if they have, and let them handle like Venmo and stuff with their friends. It's so easy now to pay money between people, so let them work it out and don't get involved in their drama. I do price my classes a little bit lower. It's about $65 a person, and I let them know that, hey, this is a little bit lower than my private party, this is a little bit lower than my public classes because 1, I'm not having to market it, 2, I don't have to rent a venue, so I'm passing those savings along to you, which makes people feel better about shelling out, you know, $400 for a cookie decorating party. And I do not charge per person until we go over 6. So I have a flat rate of $400 for 6 people, and I don't care if you have 1 or 2 people there, like I will bring you cookies for 6 people, and thank you guys. And you can keep them, but that's just a flat rate because you know, for me to like make $120 doing all this prep work to teach 2 people, it's not worth it for me. So I have a flat rate that weeds out people asking about, you know, it's not my kid. Okay, making sure. So that weeds out people, you know, just wanting like, oh, I want to, you know, have you come over for 1 or 2 friends. No, a flat rate, and that has worked great for me, especially weeding out people. I have a Google form that I have an inquiry because I just was getting so many in the beginning of the holiday season. I was like, I got to do something besides just like texting and emailing people. So I did a quick Google form. It asks for general information, it has pricing information in it as well. Eventually, I'd like to upgrade that to something a little more like snazzy, but for now it works okay, and it gives people the prices, not having to go back and forth. So one of my biggest lessons learned with private parties is keeping on schedule. Yes, so I do charge more than I do charge more than the $400 flat rate. So I put this information on the Google form so they can see so it's $400 flat rate. Everybody gets that. From 6 to 12 people, it's I think $65 or $60 a person. And then after that, I say the price does come down a little bit because at that point I've kind of met my cost of like being there and leaving my house and getting dressed. And it's more so just the time, the labor for the kits, basically, you know, for the cookies and stuff. So it does come down a little bit, but not much. So I do kind of have it tiered because I was like, if you've got 18 people, I don't want to charge $65 a person. That seems outrageous. So it does come down a little bit. And that literally took like a year and a half of thinking about it. Like I struggled with it so much. Yeah, so the Google form, you can just find it on my link tree in my Instagram account, Mulberry Treats. Just go to my link tree and you can see it all there. So I've got my email sign up for cookiers, for locals, and then for inquiries. You can see all that information there. But I'll try to remember to link it. Okay, so keeping on schedule. Ironic, right? It's Q25. Keeping on schedule. I clarify 2 different times with my private parties. What time you want your party to start with your friends, what time you want to start decorating, and what time I'm going to be there to set everything up. Because you don't want to be confused on that time where everyone's there ready to decorate and you're just showing up to set up. So clarify those 2 times for people. Make sure you do that. I encourage reminding them, encourage them of a prompt start time. I did a corporate one that went over great because it was like a team building thing. So like everyone was kind of like on the clock and on their best behavior. I showed up for one. It was the teenage girls. And they were all stumbling downstairs and then ate their breakfast burritos while I'm like waiting for class to start. So I don't know if that's an Annapolis thing or what, but just make sure. And it was a little bit different because they had won this at a charity auction. So it wasn't like they had paid me directly and kind of understood the business aspect of it. But just be mindful of that because when you're in someone's home, it's like, and actually every private one I have had has kind of had that like very leisurely pace about it. So just, somewhere in your email communications, just encourage like, it's important that we start on time so I can leave by XYZ. Because the Christmas one I was at, I was there for like over 3 hours. I was there for so long. Just lessons learned. Yeah, and then I've had them where it's kind of a social activity for them, so they're up getting like drinks and food and like coming back, and that just makes the whole thing kind of drag on, which brings me to my next point is to set expectations for your host. So, some of these people see like cookie decorating and they're so excited about it and they're like, yes, I'm gonna like have all my friends. Their friends may not care about cookie decorating, and I've run into that as well, where you get a couple people who are kind of roped into this and really don't want to be there and let you know about it. And that's distracting for the host who really wants to have a good time and have this this fantasy of having this cookie decorating experience with her friends. And then it's a distraction for you, like trying to teach, because when people are paying for a class, like everyone wants to be there, but I run into it where people just really don't want to be there and they let you know it. And it can be distracting, especially if you're kind of doing a more complicated course. So for private parties, I like to keep the designs more simple, and I let the host know that to say, this allows me to keep the class moving in case people want to get up and get drinks or food. If it's, and I ask them, I didn't before, but now I ask them, do you want this to be more of a social kind of get together with your friends with more easy, things to decorate, or are you guys more geared towards learning like some interesting techniques and kind of really getting more into the nitty gritty? Because I'm happy to do either. I just want this to be a success for you and your guests. Because I have felt like in some of these classes that people just really, I just want to be here for fun. Like I don't care about icing consistency and things like that. So and when I go to their house, I'm really clear with what I need. I say I need a place to wash my hands. I need space for everyone to sit. A lot of times they'll say, can we just stand? I'm like, it's way too long. 2 hours is too long. And then I also let them know about the potential for food coloring and staining stuff, their carpets, their tables. So I offer to bring this tablecloth if they don't have one. I don't care if it gets dirty, like this is what it's for cookie decorating. So just be mindful of that, and just because you don't want to get into a situation where like someone drops like food coloring on this very expensive rug and then they're coming after you for like repairing or cleaning or replacing it. So just let them know up front, hey, we're going to be working with messy stuff here. Make sure that whatever service we're working on, you don't care if it gets stained. And then always, again, ask permission, especially since you're in someone's home, ask permission to take and use the photos. So finally, I will leave you with a few things. You don't have to be perfect to start out. I hope I have like repeated that time and time again during this very long live, an hour and a half. I'm so sorry. But I'm still learning stuff. So I've learned from my mistakes, and every time I make a mistake or I see something that I can do better, that's just part of life. That's just part of being a cookie decorator, and it's part of being an instructor. You know, some of the things that, so if you're feeling like you have to be perfect, or, oh, I have to have been decorating for 20 years before I can be skilled enough to get in front of people. You don't. If you've made a mistake, you're qualified to get up and teach. You know, some of the things that I have not implemented, but I want to do, I don't have business cards. I want to do a survey, like, you know, be able to give people a survey to say, like, what times are more convenient for you? Because I have one repeat customer who only comes during the day. She won't come at night one. So that kind of, like, I'm always thinking about that and, like, switching up my times and stuff. Recipe cards. I did the paper. That didn't work out. I was like, oh, I'm going to do these cute cards. I'm going to put them in their swag bags. I have not done it. What I say I'm going to do is email them to them, and I have forgotten. So I really need to, like, do the cards. So they have them in there. I also, venue for me is a humongous struggle, and I know the twins have this dialed in to a T with their venue, and that's kind of where I'm hoping to get, is to like narrow it down to 1 or 2 venues, because the venue hopping, it like makes me not even want to schedule classes. Like, it's so daunting to like, you know, like try to go and find these places and like reinvent the wheel like every single time. So that's one of my goals this year, is to kind of narrow it down to like 1 or 2 places where I can know I have them, and also schedule them way far out beforehand. And then also getting a contract in place. Like, I don't have a contract for private parties, and I really need to do that. So I will be looking at that. Calling your insurance company. That's awesome, Krista. Yeah, that's so important. And, you know, like I said, it can save you guys so much money. And also buying lids that's also what I need to do, is buy lids. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm so sorry this ran an hour and a half, but I hope you got lots of information about it. I hope the audio wasn't too distracting. I hope you guys could hear me. And I don't know that I have anything else to say, but Happy New Year. Give grace, get grace. Go out there and share the cookie drawer with people. We need it. People need it. And if you have any questions, you can send me a DM on here or on Instagram. I'm Mulberry Treats again, and I will be posting the links in the event tab later. Thank you guys so much. How do I turn this off? Finish. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you, Ashley. Thanks, Candace. Thank you, Patty. You're welcome. You guys are so welcome. I hope you learned something. From Germany. Oh, I've been to Fusen. I went to a wedding in Fusen. Literally, the dessert tables were to die for. We ate our body weight. We were the last American standing, too. We were so proud. Tori, thank you. Megan, thank you. I'm so sorry I'm missing those cookie electives. Jody, thank you, Laura.